Good morning everybody, good morning, it's JPR and welcome back to another video. Roughly a year ago, you may recall that I made the best and worst signature moves in Pokemon, but the truth is, that video was only the tip of the iceberg. There have been hundreds of signature moves over Pokemon's 9 generations and counting, and surprisingly, a ton of them are bad. So let's talk about some more horrible signature moves. Today, the move Glare is amazing. With 100% accuracy, it's actually dethroned Thunder Wave as the best paralysis move, which got nerfed to 90% accuracy in Gen 7. But in Generation 1, when this was Ekans and Arbok's signature move, it was downright awful. Maybe intentionally. It still paralyzed, but only had 75% accuracy, just making a Thunder Wave that only hit 3 out of 4 times. This may have been done due to balance though, as Arbok could run Glare in tandem with Wrap to make sure opponents never had a chance to attack. If you watched my video on the best moves from every gen, you should already know why Wrap was so good in Gen 1. But that's pretty much Arbok's only gimmick to be a half-decent Pokemon in Gen 1. In a vacuum, not considering Wrap, Glare was not great. And it's a shame that Glare kept suffering for a long time after this, even after Wrap and other trapping moves were fixed in Gen 2. But hey, at least Glare eventually became useful. I can't say the same about Execute and Exeggutor's signature move, Barrage though. This move is basically just a reskin of Fury Attack being a normal type move with 15 power that hits 2 to 5 times. Except, unlike Fury Attack, the Pokemon that learn Barrage can't get stabbed from it, so it's actually just worse. The only redeeming quality of this move is that Execute can learn it at level 1, and for an early game move, it's actually not that horrible. But considering Johto is the only region where Execute is obtainable even remotely early in the adventure, that point is all but obsolete. What's even more surprising is that the Execute line firmly grasped this move all the way until it finally met its demise in Generation 8. That's more than 20 years of having an unchanged, awful signature move. Camouflage, the signature move of Staryu, although only in Gen 3, is another stinker. Depending on the type of battlefield, Staryu can change to a normal, ground, rock, grass, or water type. You know, despite already being a water type. So there actually are just scenarios where this move does nothing. Speaking of bad moves that change your own type, look no further than Porygon and Porygon 2's Conversion and Conversion 2. They got really creative with the names here, I know. Anyway, raise your hand if you're a lifelong Pokemon fan like I am and still have no idea what these attacks do. Oh, quite a few of you I see. Well, don't worry because there's not much reason to know. Conversion would change Porygon's type to the target's type in Gen 1 before they said, wait, that's stupid. So starting in Gen 2, Conversion will now change Porygon's type to the type of any of the target's moves at random. Wait a minute, that's even more stupid! In Gen 6, it was changed again, making it so that Porygon will always change types to the first move in your opponent's move slot. Still, very stupid, because how are you supposed to know what move they have? If it's Dragon Claw, guess what? You're screwed. Conversion 2 is only ever so slightly better, as it changes Porygon 2's type to resist whatever attack was just used on it. So if your opponent is Little Jimmy who only uses fire moves and is Infernape, then congrats, I guess you found a usage for Conversion 2. What sucks more than being a really bad Pokemon that can only use one move? How about being a really bad Pokemon whose one move is also really bad? Enter Delibird and Present, a match made in heaven. Present has a 40% chance of being a base 40 power attack, a 30% chance of being 80 base power, a 10% chance of being 120 base power, or a 20% chance of healing the opponent for 1/4 of their total HP. Which means 60% of the time, you're either lightly tapping your opponent for a small amount of damage, or just outright healing them. Merry Christmas, I guess. Joining Delibird in this same club of bad Pokemon with bad signature moves, we have Seviper, who possessed Poison Tail's signature move in Gens 3 and 4. At a mere 50 base power and only a 10% chance to poison, this move was already dated by the time it came out. Poison Fang, introduced in the same gen, is also 50 base power, but has a 30% chance to badly poison, which is much better than regular poison if you couldn't tell by the name alone. Yes, Poison Tail has an increased critical hit chance, but at 50 power, are you really getting that much damage off a crit? Spoink and Grumpig had a signature move in Gen 3 only, that being Magic Coat. Truthfully, it's not near as horrible as some of the other ones we've already discussed, but in retrospect, it does seem very underwhelming, as it's essentially just the unfinished beta version of the ability Magic Bounce later introduced in Gen 5. It's a high priority move that will reflect status moves back at the foe for the remainder of that turn only. maybe they should have reflected on how to make this move better instead. If this was like Taunt and lasted 3 to 4 turns, it would have been a lot more useful, but as a 1-turn hard prediction, it's just really difficult to use this move correctly. Going off of that, this is our first move exclusive to a mythical Pokemon, and that would be Heart Swap. The signature move of Manaphy, except in Gen 7 where Magearna also gets it. I frankly forgot all about that. Like Magic Guard, is Heart Swap awful? No, not really. It's just incredibly situational, and there's very few opportunities where you can justify wasting a move slot on it. Like, why are you trying to steal your opponent's Nasty Plot boost? You can literally just use Tail Glow and set up even more. Or if you steal a Dragon Dance, it's like, okay, what are you getting out of it? What's stopping them from just using Dragon Dance again? I don't doubt there are some good cheesy strategies that you can whip out using this move. It's just not something you're going to see very often. It's a pretty unreliable move. But you know what else is unreliable? The YouTube algorithm. So you should subscribe so you'll always see my new videos instead of relying on a bot to serve them for you. Trust me, you won't regret it. Kyurem wins the lottery for not 1, not 2, but 3 pretty not great signature moves. Glaciate actually has the lowest power among all legendary signature moves, 65 power, 95% accuracy, yeah, they couldn't even spring for 100 here, and it will lower foes' speed by 1 stage. It's pretty much just a slightly stronger Icy Wind, which is pretty underwhelming for a legendary of this caliber. Its other 2 signature moves, Freeze Shock and Ice Burn, look a lot more impressive, sitting at 140 base power each, but the turn to charge up kinda kills both of these. Sure, you can get around it with Power Herb, but that only works once, and to make it worse, these moves can miss! 90% accuracy may sound fine, but if I'm charging up for a whole turn, I want to be sure these attacks are landing. To put it in perspective, if you miss and then have to use it again, that's 4 turns wasted. And 4 turns in Pokemon is like the equivalent of 13 dog years. You ain't gonna be around much longer if you ain't careful. From a Gen 5 legendary to a Gen 6 early game bug, we have Vivillon, with its signature move, Powder, which just feels like an idea that should have never come to fruition. Powder coats the opponent in, powder for the remainder of the turn, and if they try to use a fire-type move, it will go straight to their thighs. And then they'll blow up and lose 25% of their HP. Look, even if this move one-hit KO'd the Pokemon trying to use a fire move, it would still suck. To make it worse, in Vivillon's debut generation, it couldn't learn Powder until level 55. This was supposed to be the grand finale of its moveset, and it feels more like a fireworks stand that blew itself up by accident. This next move may come as a shocker, because when it was first introduced in Legends Arceus, it was absolutely amazing, but unfortunately, it did not survive the transition to Scarlet and Violet. I'm talking about Hisuian Zoroark signature move, Bitter Malice. In Arceus, it was a 60 power attack with a 30% chance of inflicting Frostbite. If the target had a status, then it worked like Hex, doubling its power to 120. In Gen 9, although the base power was buffed to 75, it can no longer inflict Frostbite because, well, it doesn't exist anymore, and instead just lowers the target's attack stats by 1 stage. It also no longer has the bonus effect of doubling its damage against suffering foes. With how physically frail Hisuian Zoroark is, lowering the opponent's attack is hardly valuable at all, and in most cases, people are just going to use Shadow Ball instead. Is Bitter Malice near as bad as any of these other moves? No, not at all. But man, talk about a disappointing downgrade. Also, riding the train of poorly aged Hisuian moves, we have Shelter, the signature move of Hisuian Goodra's family. A move every bit as disappointing as the name makes it sound. In Arceus, it would raise the user's defensive stats and also obscure them, making it easier to dodge moves. But since obscuring is no longer a mechanic in Scarlet and Violet, thank you Game Freak, very cool, Shelter merely raises the user's physical defense by 2 stages, which makes this move exactly the same as Iron Defense, but with 5 less PP. You know, Iron Defense, a move that has existed since 2002. It's better than Shelter somehow. You would think inflation would have tanked its value over time, but nope, it's still going strong. But if you're wondering where is X move, well, I've probably talked about it before on last year's video, so why not check out that one if you haven't already. But be sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe for more videos just like this one before you go. I'll see you guys next time.